New unit for you guys. We're going to be talking about Earth spheres and Earth cycles. So we have four major spheres on Earth. We have our biosphere, geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Quick video for you guys. Please go into the PowerPoint, click play on the video directly from that PowerPoint for me, please. So, the Earth. The Earth is the only planet known to support life. We've studied other planets, haven't really had success, especially due to their nearness to the sun. It's quite literally like radioactive. So that being said, the Earth is the only one known to have the capacity to have these four spheres: the atmosphere, hydrosphere, geosphere, also known as the lithosphere, and the biosphere. So the first sphere we're going to talk about is the atmosphere. So what makes the atmosphere unique is it's a mixture of gases. It's mostly nitrogen and oxygen with small amounts of argon, carbon dioxide, and other gases. It's going to be held to Earth by gravity. Okay, so gravity is that force that's acting down, and it's actually trapping these gases on Earth, which makes it so that we're able to stay alive. However, it's going to thin with altitude. It's why if you go up to the mountains or higher elevation, the air gets thinner and sometimes it gets harder to breathe or you're more out of breath. The atmosphere is important because it is how life is supported, okay? We breathe because of our atmosphere. So in it supporting life, animals need oxygen. We need oxygen. Plants also need carbon dioxide to undergo photosynthesis. So having this atmosphere allows us to have life. It also regulates climate by retaining heat at night. Okay, so quite literally, instead of like the heat or the sunlight pretty much dispersing, the air actually traps some of this heat so we don't freeze to death when the sun sets. Okay, so it shields additionally during the day from the sun's radiation. So instead of like being burnt alive and we're all like, cancer everywhere, we actually have a lot of protection because of the sun protecting us. Additionally, wind is moving some of that heat, transporting it from the equator over to colder regions or the poles. So it's really helping to regulate the Earth's temperature and move that heat and temperatures around. Next sphere, we have our geosphere. The geosphere is the solid Earth. It includes rocks, mountains, beaches, ocean basins, magma, the mantle. The geosphere, however, is slowly changing. So due to things like volcanic eruptions, mountains being uplifted by our plates, those tectonic plates moving, those constants, our motions of our Earth is actually constantly causing slight change. So our geosphere doesn't just stay the same. It slowly over time does change. And we have new islands and new things forming all over our Earth all the time. It's a slow process though. Next up, our hydrosphere. So that's going to be our water. So all of Earth's water is included in the hydrosphere. Most of this water is going to be salt water. Only 3% of Earth's hydrosphere is fresh water. Most of this water is going to be frozen in glaciers. The remaining water is going to be found in groundwater, lakes, water vapor, and then in our river. So what is the hydrosphere exactly? The hydrosphere is our water. Okay. Now, with this being said, water undergoes a cycle of like evaporation, transpiration, perspiration. We're going to be talking about all this with our next lesson, okay? So be prepared for that. We are going to be talking about some of the cycles that happened on Earth. All of the water on Earth is going to be recycled. No new water is created or destroyed. We don't just magically go, oh, look, a full glass of water, right? Instead, the water is actually getting recycled, and that recycling process is going to be known as the water cycle. Again, that'll be next class. The biosphere. So the zone that is inhabited by life is known as the biosphere. Bio referring to living things. Okay, it includes most of the uppermost geosphere, so like that top part of the Earth, part of the hydrosphere and lower atmosphere. And that's where we're going to have organisms living. Okay, so all those zones are part of that biosphere partially in that organisms live there. So because it includes all life forms, it involves everything from single-celled protozoas, okay, so our one-celled organisms, to jellyfish, to redwood trees, to people. Big and small, if it's living, it's part of our biosphere. Okay, quick picture. all part of our biosphere. And our dead organisms are part of that biosphere as they are recycled by our decomposers, so things like worms and bacteria and fungi. Now, all of these spheres interact. It's not just separate from each other. Our biosphere, right, it lives within the geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. The atmosphere recycles that hydrosphere. The hydrosphere affects the geosphere, and the geosphere affects the hydrosphere. Okay, all of them are affecting each other. In fact, volcanic matter in the geosphere leads to matter becoming in the atmosphere. Okay, so all of them interacting causes energy changes through these cycles. As a result, the interactions make life on Earth possible. If these weren't interacting, our life would not be sustainable on this Earth. So, Earth's spheres interact as matter moves between them. In some processes, matter moves through several spheres. We're going to go into really great detail on this next class. So Earth spheres interact, and as they interact, some energy is moved from one sphere to the other, and that's transported back. Please remember, matter is not created, and matter is not destroyed. It's always going to be recycled. Okay? Whereas our energy, it's the same rule. Energy just isn't magically, wow, energy's here, right? We're getting energy from that sun. Energy is not created, and energy is not destroyed. Both matter and energy are being recycled. Okay? This is just really quickly showing those interactions of the hydrosphere, the geosphere, the biosphere, and atmosphere. Please note, some energy, aka the long wave radiation from our sun, is bouncing back from the Earth, but it's actually still warming our Earth. So, looking at this picture here, what spheres do you see? This should be really easy. You should be able to see all of them. Versus here, how are those spheres interacting with each other? Please pause the video and then just jot down a couple notes of how you see them interacting. What's keeping them alive? Think about that. Earth's energy. Almost all of Earth's energy ultimately comes from the sun. A tiny fraction of Earth's energy comes from the ocean's tides, wildly enough, as well as geothermal sources, aka the center of the Earth where we have that magma and lava. Now, the flow of energy is going to be even between the systems, unless, can you guys think of a couple exceptions to this? Unless we disrupt it. So if us disrupting it, aka causing things like fires or high amounts of pollutions, is actually going to change the amount of energy. And so that's really ultimately kind of affecting how our climate is changing. We're going to talk about this more with our next unit in a couple of weeks with climate change. Now, this being said, an increase in greenhouse gases traps more energy in the atmosphere and decreases the amount of energy radiated out to space. When this happens, polar ice and glaciers that usually reflect the sun, instead of it having reflected, it's actually going to get trapped. And when it's trapped, our ice is going to melt. This exposed water leads to more absorption of heat and even less of that reflection. Okay? Thus, as our ice melts, we have even more heat being trapped and then even more melting. And so it's just like this cycle of downhill of the Earth becoming warmer. This is known as climate change. And whether or not you believe in climate change, we are going to be talking about the negative effects that people have had on Earth. Okay? Sorry, guys. I know some people have personal beliefs in this matter. I personally believe that we have had a negative impact on our Earth and how we've taken care of it. That doesn't even have, we don't even have to talk about climate change in that matter. We can talk about how we throw things into the trash and it's killing sea turtles, okay? But that is something we are going to be talking about soon, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We've got only 2 more guided notes left. Yes!